morning. This is Just a Girl in Camas, Alicia King, and I already sound toned down this morning because I am in the Rushing Water Yoga Studio in Camas, Washington. And there's something as soon as you walk in, you start to feel a little bit of peace and quiet, and you want to settle down. And I am here with the amazing Paul Cheek. Thank you so much, Paul. I reached out to Paul. The yoga studio has been on my mind for a while, and for whatever reason, it hasn't brought us together till today, but I'm honored to be in this space and talk about what you do here in our community. So before class, when I've come, you do a reading or a thought or a prayer, and I'd like you to read for us the one that you'll be doing today before class starts. Tell me what this is.
Well, to be a teacher of yoga, you have to share the philosophy of yoga. So if you just teach asana, which is posture, then that's the exercise. But the philosophy has to be integrated. So it's my responsibility as a teacher to always integrate the philosophy into the class. So I start with a reading, and I integrate it to the yoga philosophy, some quote or something, and then reiterate it all through the class so that the students and myself, it's always things I'm working on. It's not like, here's what you should do. It's here's what I'm working on. I'm sharing that with the students. So this week I'm reading a quote from Anne Morrow Lindbergh, and she was an author and the first female glider pilot. And I don't like to define women in terms of what their husbands or boyfriends do or whatever, but her husband was Lindbergh, and I'm not going to go into him because she, I think, was the more amazing of the pair, if I have to, no judging, right? So this is from Anne Morrow Lindbergh. One cannot collect all the beautiful shells on the beach. One can collect only a few, and they are more beautiful if they are few. And the commentary on the quote comes from a spiritual teacher named Eknath Easwaran, who's no longer with us, but he has volumes of work in spiritual growth and whatnot. So here's his comment on that reading. If you are determined to stick to what is really important in life, then from day to day you will see that the unimportant pastimes, the distractions that lead you away from your purpose, will gradually weaken their hold. On the list of priorities, first and foremost is meditation. It will clear your eyes and bring the detachment and discrimination we all need to make wise choices. So right at the top of your list should be the resolution to practice meditation and not to let anything come in your way. Not even the greatest of worldly achievements will satisfy us completely. Nothing finite can ever satisfy us. Sooner or later, all the vitality that has gone into pursuing countless goals in the outer world must flow into one huge desire to discover the divine presence within. This supreme discovery is what matters most in life, and we're all born to seek this supreme truth. So that's commentary from Eknath Easwaran. The homework I give the students is to consider how meditation or any contemplative practice can support them in uncovering what's really important in life. And I use the word contemplation practice because meditation is contemplation. Prayer is contemplation. Taking a walk with your dog and connecting with your animal in nature is meditation. So we have to, yoga should be unique to us, the posture work and the philosophy. So the challenge is for the students and me to learn for ourselves whether a contemplative practice has the effects of creating peace, clarity, and vision. And then the only way to really answer that is from your own experience, is to practice. And so the key in all of the yoga is to practice these things. If you dabble, nothing happens but maybe frustration. So I asked the students this week and myself to either further establish their contemplative practice or to start one. And the thing is to start with 1 minute, 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes over a year, but to start really slow so that it's manageable. You know, and the thing is, I could go on and on here, but hold on. One more thing.
I know.
The yoga is to train the mind. And in posture work, we use the posture to train the mind. And this is the next step, is to take that quality of training the mind into meditation, contemplation, whatever. And then the next step is to bring that into our relationship so that when we're talking, it's just us. It's not the other people in the room or the people out there. Life stands still out there while we have our communion.
Can you imagine starting the morning at a yoga class with that thought? It's amazing to center yourself and your thoughts for the day or whenever you are here. I love it. Let's talk about, and I know you have been doing yoga for years.
26 years.
26 years.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, 28 years.
28 years.
One of my favorites.
Wow.
Can't count, but I can practice.
Can you take me back to where the desire came from. Just take me back to where that you knew this was something you wanted to do.
But
Okay.
I was exposed to yoga in the late 70s through a book by Ram Dass called Be Here Now. But we would drink wine and read this book, so I was learning about it. But then in the late 80s, I became a single full-time parent of a soon-to-be teenager, and as a parent, you're responsible for lots of things, right? And one is to make sure that the communication is balanced and even. So as a parent, you're not to escalate the situation, you're to de-escalate. Well, yeah, yeah, right?
Okay.
It doesn't mean we're perfect. That's a practice just like yoga. So I was finding that I was having a lot of headbutting with my son, and I felt my responsibility was to try to bring that down a little bit. So I thought, well, yoga is to help relax you. It's to help us quiet and focus the mind. So at the Center for Health Research, where I worked for 25 years, one of my coworkers was teaching a free class, and so I started to take that class, and then from there, here I am.
Wow, your love grew that day.
Well, there's no doubt about it, and it was, and the thing that's interesting too for me is I'd come home from class and I'd have an argument with my son. And then I realized that I needed some downtime after the practice to kind of settle myself. And I thought, okay, maybe the next day we'll have the conversation about homework. I'll go home and we'll just chill out together, right? Because there was some transformation going on, which still is going on to this day. And so part of what I came to yoga for is to try to balance my emotions, like anger and automatically responding quickly to things. And it's usually when we do that, it's not usually the best response. A more measured response based on the meditative state of being is more helpful for a relationship, all relationships. I mean, oftentimes, and especially for guys, having a response is like what we're supposed to do, So I always encourage my male students, or when we talk just together, to back off of having to have a response for everything and just listen. So yoga should teach us that.
I was just thinking last night, I had an example of reacting too quickly. So I'm pondering that. But you know what? I make mistakes and I forgive myself and move on and try and do better. So not only do you have a yoga studio here in Camas, I see so many beautiful things you do for our community, which really resonates with me. So can you just talk to me a little bit and our viewers about some things in the community that you do, local and a little, I know, in Oregon?
Yeah. I started the studio to build community, to try to gather together like-minded people. I lived way out in Washougal. I worked in North Portland. I kind of just passed through, right? So I wanted to build community. And it's my response. Yoga is an art, a science, a philosophy, and a discipline. And it's our responsibility. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says you have a duty to do good work in the world and to not be attached to the results of that work. So then I feel it's my duty to share that philosophical concept, and then also to take the next step to do something. There's a word called karma that everyone knows, right? Karma means action, right? The duty is to take action. So if you see an injustice, a social injustice, whatever that means to you, then it's our duty to act if we can, to give back. So then it was my job to figure out where do we need to go in the community, where does work need to be done, and how can I coordinate that with the students. So we've been doing food drives since the very beginning of the yoga studio, 15 years now. We've been supporting the Safe Choice program at the YWCA. We support Share Vancouver. I volunteer sometimes at a shelter when one of the students here takes a whole week and runs the shelter through his church. It's a really beautiful thing. And so, a life of selfless service is where we're headed in yoga. And that's not unique to yoga. There's lots of wisdom traditions that have that same idea. And then we, beyond our community, a few years ago when I thought the world's closing in on us, so we're all more connected now, or I use that term loosely because I don't consider it being connected, but things like Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, who my wife worked for 7 years, in and out of Africa and Paris, and so that's an organization that we support, so we have just an ongoing awareness. Every single month we have a little party down here, and there's something to talk about as far as awareness in our community or the bigger community. So Doctors Without Borders, the ACLU, Planned Parenthood, there's a long list of things that we pay attention to here. And so mostly it's just to bring awareness to the fact that there's lots of good work to be done in the world. That's our responsibility to do it. Here are some opportunities, And so I don't say, donate a bunch of money, go do this, do that. I just create an environment where we can, bring topics to the students that we can discuss together and learn for ourselves the idea of giving back. And then maybe one of them might go, you know what, I'm going to go work over here, or I'm going to give my time at school, or I'm going to do this. So, you know, there's no like sign-up sheet for what you're doing, good work you're doing in the world, but that's where yoga should move us, you know, as we learn to create a more meditative state and we have more time between the thoughts, we should notice what needs to be done. And just like in the reading, he said that understand that divinity within, right? And that's universally unique to you and you can everybody else, right? So you have to discover what that is for yourself. But if you're bouncing around all the time and you don't have any space between the thoughts, you're never going to see that person that needs your help right there in front of you.
One thing I love that you do, and you didn't mention it, but I want to. You go and teach yoga at a corrections
I
facility.
purposely didn't mention that.
I know you did.
I know,
but
because when you do work in the community, it's you do it just to do it.
I know.
And I don't like to wave my own flag.
I know, but I love
teach.
that one.
I've been teaching for 6 or 7 years at the Columbia River Correction Institute. It's a men's minimum security in Portland, Northeast Portland. Yeah, and it's a wonderful opportunity for me to teach these things I've already been talking about here to a group of people who are really open to it, because these guys, it's a minimum security, so most of them maybe serve time elsewhere or they serve a little bit of time there and they're learning skills to get back out into the community. And so I'm teaching them skills at least I'm hoping I'm teaching them skills to get out in the community. And they are sometimes surprised to find out that yoga is not just stretching.
Yes.
You know, that asana is just one small part, asana posture is one small part of the bigger picture of yoga. Yeah.
Right. So one thing I love that you said, and I just, to end this community note, not that I could go on forever about that.
So could I, obviously, right?
I love it. I love what you told me before the interview. You said, don't worry about what am I going to get out of this?
Yeah.
What recognition am I going to get? What, checkbox
Yeah.
Let it happen.
Yeah.
Let the time you give, let the love you give, whatever you're giving out there, give it and see what happens with that. Yeah. And I really loved you telling me that before class because it's so true.
Well, and I said a little bit more there, obviously,
you
right?
Did, but I'm summarizing.
It's just like when we have a desire and when that desire isn't met, it leads to disappointment. And that's kind of the Buddhist wisdom tradition, they would say that, right? So if you have no expectation of getting anything out of this, then you're freeing yourself up to have an experience in that moment. So if I think I'm going to get something about it, you're thinking about what's going to happen in the future. You know, and if I think, well, last time I did this, I really screwed up, then you're in the past.
Yes.
And both of those states we need to be aware of. But if we hook ourselves up with the past all the time, then it's kind of like, oh, I should have done better, all the shoulda, woulda, couldas, and then the future's like, well, here's what's going to happen later. Well, the past is over and the future hasn't happened yet.
Right.
So that's why we're always trying to gravitate to right now. And it's not easy because it's a practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Practice, practice, practice.
Yeah, no doubt. The P word. My teacher says the P word.
I love that your classes are just not a certain type of person, a skill level. There is not a body type that has to come here. It is all over the board. And I love that. I've come to your classes and it varies greatly. And you'd be surprised what all kinds of people can do.
Absolutely.
You might
think,
oh my
themselves.
gosh, they're not going to be able to do that. And they're bending and folding and breathing. And I was amazed. So talk a little bit about your classes.
The teacher has to meet the student where they are in that moment. And so even though we all head in the same direction, as far as posture may be concerned, everyone should be doing something different that's unique to them in that moment. And that's why there's all these gadgets in here, ropes on the wall, blocks, and all these things to help differently able people move in that same direction. And so, it's my job as this teacher to not try to impose some kind of a plan. I always have a plan for a theme of what I'm going to teach each week, but forcing that on the students or even just, gently superimposing that on them isn't helpful.
Right.
Because then people are going to get injured, they'll get frustrated. And at the same time, though, the students have to challenge themselves physically.
Right.
If you do too much, that's going to bring a negative energy into your body. If you do too little, opposite direction. So we're trying to find balance. Yoga means so many things. It means integration, it means balance, and the list goes on. But, I don't have classes for round people, tall people, old people, young people. Everybody can come to every class, and then I meet them where they are.
I love it.
That's why the class sizes are small, and that enables me an opportunity to give everybody attention. Not like in a rubbing their ego kind of a way, but to make sure they're not injuring themselves. So students always say, is this wrong? I'm like, the only wrong way to practice yoga is to not pay attention and hurt yourself.
Right.
Otherwise, yoga should be applied in every area of life.
Right.
Every, relationship, every
So
interaction,
true.
yoga can be applied.
So true. So on that note, I just have to give this plug for you. If somebody wants to come meet you where they are, how are they going to find out about your classes? You're
Well, on the
online?
website, of course.
Okay.
Like, everybody searches on their phones now. I keep track of this, of who comes to the website, or through my ads on Google, and it's everybody's phone. So go onto your phone, go to Rushing Water Yoga, get my phone number, text me, email me, and I offer the first lesson free. So a lot of people who are really nervous about coming to yoga, they think they're going to see somebody putting their foot behind their head who's about 4 pounds in a brand new in a new outfit, right? So if they're a little bit nervous, then I meet them before class and I show them exactly, like you just said, that they can do these things, right?
Yeah.
And then first week is free, so you come down and just give it a try.
Give it a try.
And here's the other thing also, and I wish more people in the community would take me up on this. Yoga needs to be accessible. Yoga is for people who have spare time and extra money, and mostly white people. And so and it's hard for me to get the other people involved in here, but I don't turn anyone away for lack of funds. That is goes kind of against, for me, the yoga thing. Great business model, right? But anyway, I want people to come down here. If they can pay $2 a class, they're in. If they can't pay anything, they're in. And then we just keep negotiating together to a point where they can pay, but it doesn't matter, and I need to do this outreach. That's one of the reasons I go to the prison. That's an underserved community in about a million ways, and so it's yoga teachers and have to, and I'm talking to all the yoga teachers out there, we have to do more outreach to people that don't get yoga, and also not be condescending and saying, since yoga helps me and these other people that can afford it, it should help you. Because a lot of the people that we think need yoga don't have the time. They're hustling around. And in my tradition, Iyengar Yoga, we have a task force that just on this issue about how to get out into communities and bring yoga to places that are underserved,
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm humbled and inspired, especially by that last comment. So if you feel like you can benefit from this class and would love to try it and can bring some peace and knowledge and awareness and so many things I can't even list, come check it out. Call Paul, see what class you can come to. I want to end with a pose. I don't know what pose it should be, but I just feel we're going to end with a pose here and have a moment. So I'm going to set my microphone down.
Okay.
All
right, come on up.
All right.
Yeah, so stand with your feet together.
Okay.
And your hands on your hips and step your feet apart, about 4 feet. Now keeping again your hips forward, your trunk forward, your eyes forward, turn the whole right leg out and your left toes in.
Left toes in.
Exactly. Yep. Now pressing into that right foot, lift your right thigh, and to draw the right buttocks in and turn your abdominal area, but stay upright with your trunk. Don't extend out yet. No, upright with your trunk. So look at me for a second.
Okay.
Here.
Okay.
Tadasana, that's mountain. And press into your left heel. So first we have to stabilize through the legs to support extension of the spine. Breathing in, raise the arms up. So all the movements in yoga should be connected to the breath. Right? So take another breath in and lift up from inside your body. And then on the exhalation, extend out and over your right leg. Reach out with your trunk. Reach out with your hand beyond the foot. And then place your right hand to the shin. And your left arm straight up. Place your right hand to the shin at this point. Yeah. Grab the
I'm
shin.
getting there.
Yeah, okay. You don't have to go down so far though. Come back up.
Okay.
Come back up. And now do again, but keep your trunk back and don't go so far down. So try not to bring this forward.
Okay.
Go out, 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 and now lower your hand down. So this then keeps your side body long. Otherwise you were collapsing and getting bunched up in there so that the trunk wouldn't extend as much. And then straight up.
All right.
Nice.
Okay.
Keep pressing into your feet.
I'm
Raise
pressing.
the arms up. Raise the arms up. And turn your feet forward in parallel and then feet together. And you'll have to do the other side later so that you can find some balance.
All right, come here and end with a namaste with me.
Okay.
All right, so at the end of class.
We could do
Oh, I
this.
love it.
Okay.
All right. This is Just a Girl in Camas, Alicia King. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching this interview today. Don't forget to subscribe on the left side column of my website. You can enter your email address and you'll get a notification every time I post a new interview. Just a Girl in Camas is a 501c3. Your donation helps me support our community and bring us together with these awesome interviews. Thank you so much, and I'll see you around town.